everyone. It's Amanda Rieger Green. Welcome to Soul Sessions. Thank you for joining me. Today, we're going to talk about the energy in December. There's a lot going on in December, and it's deep, it's wide, it is very provoking on a soul level. So figuring out how to respond in your day-to-day on the human level is really going to be the name of the game. But once you have the lay of the land and the energy, I have faith that we will navigate this beautifully and with integrity. First and foremost, we start the month, December 1st, there is a new moon in Sagittarius. One of the things that I love is having a new moon at the first of the month because it's already this energetic gateway. It's a fresh month, a new start. But when you have a new moon, it enhances the outlook of the energy. So make the most of it. Do something on the first. And I will say this, the new moon is exact at 1:21 a.m. Eastern time on the 1st, which means if you live in Mountain Time or the Pacific Coast or you're on another continent, it could actually be on the 30th when the new moon is exact. But nonetheless, the 30th and the 1st are a really beautiful, energetic space to manifest. It's that dark germination space and time that I encourage you to use. I will talk about the details of the new moon shortly, but the other thing that I want to talk about is the numerology, which we will be moving from a 1 month universally, which is what we've been in November, into a 2 month in December to close out the year. The 2 is not the 1. So the vibe really does shift. The 1 has a lot of oomph, a lot of ambition, and it sometimes doesn't mean we're getting anywhere with that oomph or things are sticking, but there's a push, a drive, whether it is conscious or unconscious. Whereas with the energy of the 2, I always say this, it's sloshy. It's ebb and flow, back and forth. It will test your patience, your resolve, your resiliency. Those words I like to use for the whole energetic signature of 2024, the energy of the 8. And the combination of the 2 and the 8, so we're in an 8-year universally. 2024 is an 8-year. This is the last month of the year, and we're in a 2 month. The 2 and the 8 combo is very emotionally sensitive. It's just sensitive because they have feelers. Both of those frequencies are very sensitive emotionally and energetically. So what is important is to recognize oversensitivity, overwhelm, stress, anxiety, whether it's showing up in your body, it is your mind in analysis paralysis, or it is emotional or spiritual, noticing your sensitivity. And instead of pushing it away, giving yourself some space, because with the energy of the 2, going with the flow and being flexible is imperative. And that also goes hand in hand with the energy of the 8 that is in constant flux, high to low, up and down. The 2 goes like backwards and forwards. And what I said a few weeks ago is even if you're taking 1 step forward and 2 steps back, you're still moving. So the key here is movement. And it doesn't mean you're running a sprint. It's just, what is the next indicated thing that I can do? And maybe that's go take a shower or a bath. Maybe it's eat something because you've been running errands and it's the holidays and getting kids places. Maybe it's, oh shoot, I haven't really nourished my body today with food. And hello, I know what hangry feels like. And I get temperamental and impatient and testy. Believe me, like I know that about me. It's like, oh shoot, I really haven't eaten enough today or nourished myself. So sometimes the next indicated thing is very simple, and other times it's putting one foot in front of the other and making a to-do list. And I think that this month is a good month for to-do list. Yes, it's the holidays, so that's really helpful when you're checking those boxes and all the engagements that we have. But definitely make a to-do list, and if you've heard me say this before, I'm gonna remind you, but here is the magic I know with to-do list, and this works. This is like a rock your world magical trick, and it's very simple. If you make a to-do list, write out all the things that you have to do for that day, and on the top of your paper, condition it. Say something along the lines of, "The items on this to-do list will get completed with ease and joy, an abundance of time," you know, help, support. Don't like, I always avoid things like these things will get done efficiently, effectively. I will get it all done with quality. Anything that feels linear like that, I use words like joy and ease and abundance of time. So I condition the to-do list. And then when I check things off, I'm like, oh my gosh, I just checked 7 things off. And it's only been 45 minutes. It's kind of one of those things where I am amazed by my efficiency when I am very cognizant of that. So that's a really good day-to-day simple trick. Condition the to-do list. And one more thing you can do to level that up is on your to-do list, write things down like smile, be nice, be friendly, be grateful, say a prayer, ask your higher self for support. Write some things down on your to-do list that are giving you some spiritual oomph. And this is making me laugh because when I was in college, one of my really good friends had a roommate who was not a very nice gal. Like, she was super snooty, she was very aloof, she just was not very kind and gentle, and she was harsh, and this is in college, but I mean, it was totally her persona, and she dated this guy who she's now married to. And he was the nicest guy, like, super congenial and just really this gentle, loving, like, really tall, handsome dude, and she's, like, cold, right? She is cold. But anyway, my best friend walked into her room, and there was a note sitting on her bed from her boyfriend one day, and it said, "Remember to be nice today." So, we've always laughed about that, just the whole message, but sometimes I think that is the greatest thing. So it's like, "Amanda, remember to be nice today. Amanda, remember to be nice to yourself." So I'm making a joke of it, but there's some wisdom to that if we can write those notes to ourselves. So write a love letter to yourself in your to-do list. Do some things to trick up and trigger your energy higher. Those little things will count in the energy field, and you'll laugh, at least you will laugh, and that is medicinal. Okay, so the 2 energy, it will create impatience, and Mercury is retrograde. So, patience and flexibility, when you get reactive or impatient, just take a breath, take a beat, and notice if you're jumping to conclusions where you don't have all the facts. Mercury, the facts, retrograde in Sag, like bigger truths. Pause if you don't have all the facts, because one of the things about Sagittarian energy is making assumptions or broad strokes without really having either the experience or the data or the facts. So notice where you might be reacting or jumping to conclusions. And gossip, hearsay is one of those areas. Or like with a friend or a coworker or a spouse, assuming that they know something without you telling them or asking them to do something, that's where we get in trouble. So just tell people what you need and what you want. And that is a real lesson in the energy of the two. Asking for what you need or telling people what you need. Use your communication and avoid assuming. That is a really helpful tip. The 2 energy is about partnership, relationship, balance, and harmony. And apart from love, because the 2 is about finding love, meeting in the middle way, it's about peace. So notice when you're peaceful. And the holidays usually evoke the opposite of that. Sometimes it's stressful and chaotic. Notice what brings you peace and do that. Or when you are feeling okay, serene, easygoing. Smile and say, thank you. May I experience more of this in my day, or may I bring this into my heart to share with others? A smile goes a long way. And this, again, is the energy where you will get back what you give. And if you give it from a gentle, loving heart, because the two is gentle, kind, and loving, but when provoked, the two is a little pissy and angry and defensive. So you get to choose. Do you want to be pissy, angry, and defensive? Or do you want to be peaceful, serene, and loving? And it goes back to that adage, right? Do I want to be right or do I want to be peaceful? And this is the energy where I'm like, oh, choose the peace. Choose the peace this month. You'll be better off as you move through it and into 2025. So as the month starts out with this new moon in Sag is go big or go home energy. It is expansive in our thoughts and our beliefs. And Mercury is retrograde in Sag. So we are re-examining through the 15th. Mercury will be retrograded through December 15th. And there is a full moon on December 15th in Gemini, which is very cool, very aligned energetically, and a bit magical. But between the 1st of the month and the 15th, Mercury is retrograding. So it's asking us to revise, to review, to look back, to rethink some things, to edit, essentially. What am I working on and what is not working? How can I tweak this? Where can I ask for assistance? The energy of the two says partnership. In the numerology, the two says ask for help, ask for support, ask for some feedback. Don't think you have to do it alone, but it's a really great time to revise and edit. And the new moon is a wonderful new moon for seeding some intentions around evolving your beliefs, expanding your philosophy of life. What do I believe? What do I know in my soul? And how do I take that show on the road? How do I live that through my relationships, through my experiences? How am I expressing my beliefs in my life? And definitely figure out where this new moon hits your natal chart. It's at 9 degrees of Sagittarius. And isn't that interesting? 9 degrees will be in a 9-year next year. So there's all sorts of funny numerology this month in the astrology and like the numerology that it's just triggering energies and numbers. But it's at 9 degrees. So find that in your natal chart to see what house it falls in so you can drill down to what new cycle is beginning with the cloak of Sagittarius, meaning expanding your beliefs in that area, becoming more adventurous, integrating new ways of thinking or new fresh perspectives, foreign ways of thinking into your fill in the blank, whatever area of your astrological chart that falls into. And if you don't know and you're not into astrology, just say, what beliefs of mine am I rethinking that are outdated or really aren't matching up with who I am today? Who am I today? What gets me rocking and rolling? When do I feel enthusiastic, excited, adventurous? Start there and then examine what you believe you're worthy of or capable of in terms of manifesting. This is a beautiful manifestation moon. And do something fun on the 1st. Sagittarius is fun energy. It's celebratory. It is wild and adventurous and expressive. Do something that reflects that makes sense to you, however that looks. Ask yourself, when do I feel enthusiastic and can express my personality and feel myself? When do I feel myself? Whatever that looks like, if it's dancing in the shower, singing in the shower, or in the car, then do that. Like, do something. It doesn't have to be a huge act, but demonstrate to the universe the energy that you are wanting to call in or evoke. On the 6th of the month, Mars retrogrades. And I've mentioned this a few times, and we're going to dedicate an entire podcast to this because I think it is worthy of it. Mars will retrograde from the 6th of December through the 24th of February. That's a stint. That's a little bit of time. Mars is the planet of energy and aggression, charging forward, passion, dominance, courage, boldness, fiery, passionate energy. And when it retrogrades, when the energy becomes more internal, it creates a depletion. And I will tell you this, Mars doesn't retrograde that often. It's about every 2 or so years that Mars retrogrades. But in my experience, when Mars retrogrades, there is kind of this diminished energy. I do feel lethargy sometimes or depleted. And the best thing I know for that is giving yourself grace or just downtime because it will replenish and it'll replenish more clearly. But being able to say, gosh, I got to take this off my plate today, or I'm going to have to delegate this, or we're going to need to reschedule, and just communicating. Again, communicating your needs or communicating what's going on to other people, that is key. So, Mars, I'm going to just give you this quick lay of the land. And then, like I said, we'll do a deep dive into it. Mars will retrograde in Leo from the 6th of December to January the 6th. And then it will back up into Cancer. Two different energies. In Leo, it's going to test our self-confidence, our passion, our creative self-expression. And then when it backs up into Cancer, the feelers are up. It's like we get super sensitive, we take things personally, and we're really going to be working on our emotional intelligence at that time. So forgiveness will be really key, forgiving ourselves and forgiving others. But for now, the focus is your self-confidence, your passion, your creativity. And one trick I want to give you, and this will help you in this Sagittarius energy and in December and with the two, is Leo is about the joyous expression of each day. It's about expressing joy daily. How do I express my joy? So it's a really good month when you get up in the morning to invite in joy. Like right when you open your eyes, say, today I'm available for joy. Today is going to be enjoyable, joyful. And whether you believe it or not, or you're just mumbling it out of the side of your mouth, condition your day. And if you do it consistently over the course of the month, it'll feel easier and you will be delighted or surprised how joy creeps in the most unexpected and miraculous ways. So condition your day for joy or seek joy out or set out to give joy throughout your day, however that looks. And of course, I think of my cousin Amy's mom, my Aunt Judy, and I think about Pimpin' Joy, and I wear my Pimpin' Joy hat all the darn time, and people are like, "Pimpin' Joy, what is that?" And I'm like, "Exactly what it says it is." And anytime somebody brings it up, of course, I think of my Aunt Judy and her story, and part of her story is when she had cancer, she said, "I just want this to be joyful." And that's who she was. My Aunt Judy she was a Sagittarius, by the way, but she also looked for the joy in things, and she had been through all of her ups and downs in life, but one thing I know about her is she was beautiful. Like, she had this beautiful smile, and she really had this softness to her that was like, well, let's just look for the joy. Or she would talk to people. I remember, like when she was getting cancer treatments, like she would spread joy when she was at her sickest. And she just made it her mission through her terminal illness to bring in joy. And if she can do it, if somebody can do it terminally ill and seek the joy, even in the midst of the pain and the suffering, we can too. So that hopefully is a little bit of and definitely a testament to her beautiful smile and light and all the wisdom and gifts that I feel like I received by having her in my life and by proxy getting to have Amy in my life. So shout out there. Okay. Mars retrograde. So on to the next thing. On the 7th, Venus moves into Aquarius. Venus in Aquarius is quirky. It's like the quirkiest love there is. If Venus is about love and relationships and money, when it's in Aquarius, it's a little detached emotionally, and it's also it just loves outside of the box. So if you find yourself in your relationships, and remember, we're in a 2 month, so there's Venus and there's the energy of the two. If you find yourself acting a little quirky or doing things differently, or just not invested in places you used to be emotionally attached or invested, notice that stuff. See what it feels like for you when Venus is in Aquarius, because it definitely takes the boundaries of love or the glass ceiling of love and it busts it up. And the people who I know who have their natal Venus in Aquarius, their love lives are different. Their love lives are different because they see love through this kind of futuristic lens that's a little genius, a little quirky, and not is not everybody's taste, but it's so curious and so interesting. So just notice how that shows up for you. Okay, we've got a couple of other big things astrologically. Two planets are stationing direct this month, Neptune and then Chiron. Neptune stations direct on the 7th, the same day Venus moves into Aquarius. It stations direct at 27 degrees Pisces, and this is 6:43 p.m. in the evening Eastern Time. Oh, thank goodness. Remember, Pluto is direct, Saturn is direct. Now, Neptune is joining the game for these outer planets. Neptune is in Pisces, and remember, Saturn stationed direct in November in Pisces. So it's like, oh, thank you. We've been doing all of this deep inner work. And when Neptune is retrograde, it's already more introspective. It's like digging into the deep waters of the subconscious mind. It's extremely contemplative. But having had Neptune and Saturn retrograde and transiting Pisces, which is already watery and subconscious and spiritual and elusive and mystical, Neptune dissolves things. It's been doing a number on our subconscious, it dissolving fears. And I have felt this, and a lot of people I've connected with. It's like we've been going down to the depths, really looking at some fears or illusions in our life. And like for me, it's come up in illusions of safety, and I'm not talking about my physical safety and well-being, but like emotional safety, where I feel safe with people emotionally. It's been like a eureka moment, but it was also really painful. It helped me redefine intimacy in relationships, friendships, but it took having to confront and experience some things and then being able to confront that stuff with compassion, because Pisces and Neptune add in this element of expansiveness through compassion, through our 5D consciousness, our heart center. So reflect. Neptune has been retrograde since July 2nd. Saturn went retrograde June 29th. So both of them stationed retrograde around the same time. So if you go back to the beginning of July, I know some of you have already pulled together some things with Saturn being your responsibility, how you take responsibility for yourself and practical action and your self-sufficiency, your ability to take that responsibility within yourself. Neptune has been bringing stuff up from the subconscious. So any fears or any emotional muck that you've been facing, phobias, even dreams that have been alarming, what has come up for you and what have you been learning? Where have you gained some new clarity in the elements of your fears and the darkness and the unknown, or redefined, because retrograde, put re in front of anything, redefine something. And for me, I've evolved this element of my sense of intimacy, friendship, and what it feels like to be safe and secure so I can trust and love and give and receive. And that's been amazing. It's been really annoying too and painful, but beautiful because it was like, no, I want to heal this. I want to evolve it. And I know you all out there are doing beautifully deep work, and it's manifesting in a multitude of ways, like physical stuff in our bodies or relationships, and really looking at what our truth is today and what is healthy for us today. On the 15th, like I said, we have a full moon in Gemini and Mercury stations direct. Whoop, whoop. Good energy there. The full moon in Gemini is at 23 degrees of Gemini at 4:01 a.m. Eastern Time. And Mercury stations direct at 6 degrees of Sagittarius. And I think that's later in the evening. I don't have the time written down in front of me, but that is a really poignant day. You know how I talk about punctuation marks when the planets either station direct or retrograde? There, to me, it's when you have a planet basically standing still in the sky, its energies are personified, and we can get downloads, insights, clarity. It's also a full moon, which means there's an opposition. Things are being illuminated. The moon is in Gemini and the sun is in Sag, and Mercury rules Gemini. It's been retrograde in Sag, and now we have this full moon. So it's the same axis of energy. It's the conscious mind, Mercury and Gemini, day-to-day information gathering and sharing, communication, and Sagittarius, belief systems, philosophies, how we live our lives, adventure, expansiveness. So it is a beautiful kind of crescendo. It's a crescendo of energy that is really worth taking some space around to see what is rising to the surface for you. And you may have revelations, vivid dreams, synchronicities, aha moments, or you may have the converse of that, which is something comes to a close. Something is just taken away or ripped off. A band-aid is ripped off. I encourage you, however that energy shows up for you, be there for it. And if it's painful, if it is abrupt, lean on your friends, lean on your support systems, whatever that looks like to you, whether it is through friendships, through a therapist, through a 12-step program, through your religion or your church, like wherever your healthy community is, lean into their support so you don't feel alone and you get some good nourishment and feedback to help you navigate it, because something new is being born. Something is rising to the surface. And if it feels more aha, epiphany oriented, synchronistic, spread it. Don't keep that to yourself either. Tell somebody about your divine moment, your divine synchronicity, because I find when I don't keep my epiphanies or my aha moments or those psychic moments that I'm like, oh my gosh, did anybody else get that? Did you see what happened today? Instead of just keeping it to myself and the wonder and the majesty of it, when I share it, it's like it just ripples out into the field even greater. And sharing it with people who get me and get my quirkiness or are going to embrace it or even bring something to it. Whoa, Amanda, did you think about this too? And I'm like, no, oh my gosh. I love it when we have those moments and we share them and then somebody else illuminates something else in that experience. So share that upgrade of energy if that's what you're experiencing, and that way we'll balance out the field and know if you're the one experiencing something harsh or drastic, that you have other people out there that are beaming you like all this love in the cosmos to move through it more eloquently and for something more brilliant to break through, because it's making space for something great as you move forward into the end of the year and into next year. After that, we've got the sun entering Capricorn, which is also the solstice. So if you're in the northern hemisphere, it's the winter solstice. And if you're in the southern hemisphere, it's the summer solstice on the 21st It's always an energetic portal. The solstices and the equinoxes, the veil is thin, night and day syncs up, the energy, time, there's something magical about this time of year and the change of season. Do something to honor that within yourself. What is evolving? What is changing within you? And as the seasons change, notice the change in your life and where you're finding gratitude in that and where you're struggling or still attached or hanging on to something. For me, either of the solstices, I always do something ritualistic and outdoors. No matter what, I'll set up my crystals or I'll write intentions or I'll do a bonfire or something out in nature on the solstice or the equinox. So I encourage everyone to connect with the natural world in whatever way organically arises for you. Definitely make time and space for that. I have to share something quickly because I'm thinking about this and the solstice and the full moon. A friend of mine last night said, "Oh my gosh, I did my moon water." So many of you did your moon water, by the way. And we were all doing our moon water and drinking it. And it was delightful and amazing. But she said to me, she's like, "Amanda, that moon water tasted different." And I said, "Right? It did, didn't it?" And I tell you what, if you've ever really consciously worked with water, with crystals and water, or working with the lunations and your water and charging it up, the frequency of the water actually changes. Like, there are scientific studies around how water can be imprinted. There are studies with people with cancer who drink a certain kind of water that may come from a natural spring or may have certain ions in it or an alkaline quality, but then have been infused with love and light and healing. And something happens alchemically in the body, but something changes in the makeup of the water because it is so impressionable. So she was like, "It tasted different." And I said, "I know. It's like it's clearer and crisper. Something is different in the vibration." So do that on the full moon. Do that on the solstice. Do your moon water or put your crystals around or in your water. And again, as I always say with a disclaimer, be mindful of the crystals if you decide to put them in water because some can be toxic or do not go in water because they will dissolve. So best bet, if you don't know, just put your crystals around your jar or your glass of water. And you can do this anytime, by the way, with water. You don't have to do it when there's a full moon, but it's like supercharged. And there's something really magical about it that I truly believe creates healing and enhancement in a multitude of ways. On the 29th, we have Chiron stationing direct. And Chiron is an asteroid that orbits typically between Saturn and Uranus. Chiron is called the wounded healer. I've talked about Chiron before. Chiron is pretty darn important in our astrology. Wherever it is in your natal chart, I would urge you to figure that out because Chiron tells you where some deep wounds are, but where your capacity to heal exist. And Chiron has been in Aries. It's been retrograde in Aries. So again, we've got another stationary direct, and this is all before the first of the year. So I'm like, yeah, bring it on. But Chiron in Aries can really bring up issues around self-doubt and our self-confidence. It can feel like a massive lack of self-worth or feeling that you're unloved or not appreciated. It also can bring up self-sabotage and rage. I know I've talked to a number of people who have recognized either self-sabotage in themselves or other people over the last handful of months, and that awareness is pretty incredible. But the healing journey of Chiron in Aries, and we're all experiencing this right now, is this opportunity to really reconnect with our true self, our sovereignty, our authority, our innate self. And that is very much like the energy of the 8. That's what the energy, the numerology of 2024 has been working this year, is our inner sovereignty, our empowerment. So if you Recognize where you have experienced crippling self-doubt, disempowerment over the last handful of months. And Chiron has been retrograde since the end of July, July 29th. So if you need a date range, right around August the 1st until now, till the end of the year, basically, we've had Chiron retrograde. So think back to the beginning of August. What was going on? What happened? Where did self-doubt come up for you, or feelings of disempowerment, power struggles, especially because we had Pluto in its last degree of Capricorn? That could be an area that was exacerbated. So what came up for you, and what are you going to do about it now? What are you going to do about it next year? How are you going to heal that? And maybe with the Sagittarius energy and shifting your beliefs, that can help you in your power struggle area, or your self-doubt or imposter syndrome, thinking about what fears and insecurities came up and how you can believe in yourself more and believe in your divine spark and sovereignty and what you can do about something, taking responsibility. And for goodness sakes, the sun will be in Capricorn. And when the sun is in Capricorn, it is truly about leading our own lives, taking a responsibility and accountability and planning strategically for the future in a very practical way, but in a way that is reaching for our destiny, reaching higher. What can I do today to impact my destiny? I mean, that's a big statement I just made right there. What can I do today that's contributing to the legacy I am leaving as a soul, as a human in this lifetime? Big question, but that's what comes up in this energy. And last but not least, guess what? We have a third lunation this month. So we start the month out with a new moon in Sag, middle of the month, full moon in Gemini, and closing the month on the 30th, just before New Year's Eve, we have a new moon in Capricorn. When we end the year with a new beginning, quote unquote, a new lunation cycle, and we have 3 moon cycles in a calendar month, it's pretty magical. It's very cool. So just before January 1st, we've got a new moon in Capricorn on the 30th, and that moon occurs at 5:27 p.m. Eastern Time, and it's at, guess what? 9 degrees of Capricorn, just like the first new moon of the month in Sagittarius at 9 degrees of Sagittarius. There's that 9 again. It's like, oh, hey, 2025, the 9 energy, it's already popping up. The 9 energy, by the way, and you can go back and listen to my podcast around the 9, and I'll be talking about this a lot more as we shift into the year. And of course, the numerology guidebook is coming out, which has astrology in it. It's so good, with crystal recommendations, journal prompts, all of the things. I'm really excited to get this out there in the world, and we'll dive into utilizing the energy of the 9. But the 9, very much like Capricorn, is truly about integrity, our highest character. It's not always the easiest route or the shortcut or the safest route. It's the route that feels true to ourselves, true to our soul. So on that new moon, and I'll talk about this new moon as we close out the year and give you some insights and tips, especially as we move out of Mercury retrograde and get beyond that learning stage and that level up stage. But the Capricorn new moon is a really great time to reclaim your power and sovereignty for the year ahead, and to get very clear on what you want to leave behind in this lifetime. Not how you're going to do it, what you want to leave behind in this lifetime. I want to leave a legacy of fill in the blank. Love and kindness, joy and beauty, friendship, whatever it may be. And when I say that, it's so funny. I think about my mom, and my mom had a lot of friends. And I always knew this about her, but I didn't connect it with her legacy until the last year of her life. I realized how many friendships and relationships she had, and how many of her friends would say, gosh, I'm going to miss Lisa because she was the greatest friend. I mean, all of her friends talked about what a great friend she was. And I tell you what, looking back and looking over the years, she accumulated a lot of friendships, and all of those friendships cherished her. It's a huge legacy that she left behind, being a good friend and having friends. So, what is your legacy? What are you leaving behind? These are things to contemplate this month, especially as we move into the second half of the month and as we move through the winter solstice, if you're in the northern hemisphere, or summer solstice, if you're in the southern. So, take it easy this month. Find some patience, but look for your flow. Condition your day. Make your to-do list. Condition your day. Condition your day for joy. Do some things consistently to open and expand your heart in a very emphatic way. I declare joy today. I declare ease and simplicity. I declare an abundance of time. I declare good friendship. I declare support. I declare fill in your blank. Declare it each and every day, so you set the stage for something higher. Thank you for joining me, everyone. Be well. Thank you so much for listening to Soul Sessions. If you've got questions, do not hesitate to reach out. Email us, podcast@soulsessions.me. If you love this podcast and you want to hear more, make sure you're following it, liking and subscribing, and sharing it with other people. Send this energy out. Share it with other people. Remember, you can always get your dose of Soul Sessions. New episodes drop on Wednesdays. You can also follow me on Instagram, TikTok. It's @Soul Pathology, or check out soulpathology.com. I appreciate you and your light. Thanks for listening.